Late today, a new win for the Atlanta DA investigating Trump's efforts to overturn the election results there in Georgia. You may remember there was an escalation request. Well, county judges are approving it. So DA Willis's request to seat a special grand jury is green lit. It will be focused on evidence in that Trump probe. It can be used to compel witness testimony. And the special grand jury may make recommendations concerning criminal prosecution. That's what makes it such a potentially legally serious move. It's why, famously, Bob Mueller always worked through the grand jury system. All of this comes as a Trump aide admits involvement in a plot to put forward fraudulent or alternative electors. That happened here on MSNBC on the beat, and we have more on that ahead, including my special breakdown, dealing with, in some ways, some of the questions I've heard from beat viewers and others about what happened on Friday. But the top story right now is President Biden dealing with these world threats on multiple fronts. A political opposition that is brazen about its lack of an agenda other than saying it will obstruct or even try to jail the opposition party. I'll explain, but also we have these fears that are very real over Russia invading Ukraine. Biden putting 8,500 troops on high alert for any possible deployments. If it comes to that, the State Department evacuating staff from Ukraine, which is one sign of what they are worried about. And against this backdrop, you have the kind of thing that reminds you that the presidency is a full-time and unpredictable job, because a lot of people are worried about markets and inflation, and on Wall Street, a wild day, stocks dropping before then staging a kind of a late comeback and closing actually up. But many do not like the unpredictability. Biden also meeting with advisors on one of the major factors shaking up investors and families across the country, the related issue of inflation. Meanwhile, the Biden administration is rolling out 400 million new and free N95 masks this week to deal with COVID. Dr. Fauci says the Omicron wave is going in the right direction. And we are looking at what you see here is the concrete challenges of governing in a political environment where top Republicans, including Senator McConnell, say they don't have a legislative agenda for the midterms and they're not going to share one. And then to his right or to his base or whatever you want to call it, you have MAGA voices openly vowing that if they win back the House, they will literally try to get opponents jailed and opponents impeached no matter what.
And I think when you have a Republican Congress, this is all going to come crashing down, and the wolves are going to find out that they're now sheep, and they're the ones who are, in fact, going to, I think, face a real risk of jail for the kind of laws they're breaking.
I think there are potentially multiple grounds to consider for impeachment.
Write it down. This November is about one thing. It's impeaching Joe Biden.
What's wild about that is while President Biden has had some setbacks in this first year, we've reported on them, you might think that someone seeking the votes of the public would talk about inflation or COVID or things affecting real people's lives, not saying that their biggest priority is impeaching him or jailing people. This is, in a way, politics unmoored from reality, as the nation faces very real challenges. We want to bring in a special expert who knows not only how this all works, Chairman Michael Steele, who ran the Republican Party, but also is known for straight talk. And so I turn the floor over to you. We just went through why it's tough times and a tough job. But your thoughts, sir?
No, it is a tough time and a tough job, and it's great to be with you, Ari, to have this conversation. Look, if the thing tells you what it is, it shows its true colors, then why do we refuse to accept it? When the former speaker, Republican Speaker of the House, tells you that come, next year, Republicans have the House and the Senate, people are going to go to jail from the January 6th Commission. If you've got Steve Bannon and others telling you that this election is about one thing and one thing only, the impeachment of Joe Biden, I don't understand how Americans look at that and go, yeah, we want that. We want more of that, because that's what you voted against. And
let me ask you on that, Michael.
Yeah.
Just specifically on that, and then you continue, but just because I like to get your perspective. You've been at these upper echelons. Most people haven't run a national party. Why doesn't that hurt them more by just sounding political? I mean, it would seem to me that if you said, hey, here's the problems with Joe Biden that, as I said, relate back to why it's harder to buy groceries, or COVID didn't go away, they said it would. I mean, that seems like that might resonate more. Why do you think that this is even seen as a good idea to focus on impeaching Biden, as if that's going to help people get the groceries or get over this next wave of Omicron?
Because it's not about people getting their groceries or getting over Omicron. It's about how many clicks and likes and dollars get funneled into accounts. That's what Bannon is doing. That's what the speaker is doing. This funds an underlying operation. You've got, once those ballots are cast, you've got to have the money in place to put the challenges in place. On your way to casting those ballots, you got to have the cash in place to make sure that the people who need to get paid to take care of certain things or certain ends of the business, they're paid. So there's a lot more that goes into this. This run-up is not about establishing a narrative around policy. Mitch McConnell's already told us that. What's the agenda? What are you for? Well, we'll wait and find out. Give us the power, and then we'll let you know. And so, as I've been saying now for the past 6 or 7 months, and I will continue to emphasize this right through November, America, what's your priority here? I get it. There's a lot to be upset at Joe Biden about. There's a lot that they've mishandled politically. But at the end of the day, when you stack up this administration against the previous administration, when you stack up the leadership in the House and the Senate against those who want to grab the power back, compare Jim Jordan to Nancy Pelosi, or compare Mitch McConnell against, Chuck Schumer in terms of what their agenda is. We can have that fight, you and I, Ari, over the policy. But that's not the fight the Republicans are going to bring come January of 2023. It's about retributive policymaking. It's about how we use the system against those who turned us out of power. And that's the big setup for 2024. Because if Trump gets reelected, what do you think his agenda is going to be? Retribution, revenge. And it is about hauling the Biden administration, if not the former president himself, in front of their tribunals to complete the work that they could not get completed on January 6th.
So when you put it like that, it's really not a political process, but one of holding the barricades that the Garland Justice Department really has to, in a nonpartisan way, protect democracy and continue these probes in a way that is both unimpeachable, no pun intended, but also sanctions and punishes what you're talking about so that next time people don't think that they could do it and get away with it.
Well, that's the key thing. And it's at the crux of all of this. Accountability. When you are no longer held accountable for the things you do, the words you say, the actions you take as an elected official, as someone empowered under our Constitution, an oath that you swore to uphold, if you're not held accountable for your actions, then guess what? You continue to commit those acts. And so we have come to rely, after 240 plus years of jurisprudence in this nation, on a Justice Department and a justice system, as fraught as it is from time to time, that in the end, the underlying foundations of our system are going to be fortified by the prosecution of those who seek to undermine the Constitution and to create disequilibrium, if you will, inside of the balance of power between the branches of government. So all of this is connected. And so, yeah, Ari, we are going to look to the Garland Justice Department to do the right thing, not by some political outcome or not by Joe Biden's agenda, but do the right thing by the American people.
Right.
We witnessed the usurpation of authority, the attempted taking down of our government. So what's the price that you pay for that? Is it just a slap on the wrist? Do you get to defile the importance of a subpoena because you don't want to appear, because you think you've got some political card that you can play to get you out of that legal trouble? Well, you can't look at the country and say that those who perpetrated that act get the free pass, and then look at the brothers and sisters who are now standing in line before their day in court, or who just received a subpoena, and expect them to adhere to that same justice system and follow those same rules.
Yeah. No, you lay it out, and that's why I wanted to start with you one-on-one. Michael Steele, I want to thank